Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches, and Allstate. You're in good hands.
All right, welcome back into First Take. Look who's joining the party. Dijonai's here. Let's get into some quick takes. Happy Friday. The Aces snapped their 3-game losing streak with a win over the Mercury. A'ja Wilson and Jackie Young combined for 66 points. Dijonai, how do you view this team right now as they look to three-peat?
Well, look, they've taken some losses, but they're going to be hopefully healthy when it matters the most. A'ja Wilson has been on a tear. Please go watch the highlights. She just made a WNBA history, the longest streak of 25 points, and I believe she's had a historic number of rebounds as well. And also, Jackie Young, her running mate, has been phenomenal. The first tandem to both drop 30 points in a game. So, yes, they may have lost some games, but they're still in prime form from what we've seen as back-to-back champs from last year.
Yeah, Asia's the truth. All right, let's keep it rolling here, Dijonai. The Fever beat the Dream behind a stellar performance from Aaliyah Boston, who had 27 and 13. Dijonai, what do you think we should expect from Boston moving forward?
This exact thing. I think she led the WNBA in field goal percentage as a rookie, by the way, reigning Rookie of the Year. And I'm so proud of her because a lot of people started off the season criticizing her game, but she kept going through it. And that's one of my favorite phrases. You go through it to get to it, and now we've seen one of the best performances from her. So if they have that inside and outside game, you can see more Fever wins to come.
Go through it to get through it. I like it. Got to grow through it too, right, Dijonai? All right, the Fever's Caitlin Clark and the Suns' Dijonai Carrington have been making headlines of late. It all started with a little altercation Monday during the Suns' 89-72 win over the Fever. Caitlin's impact on the league has also made news daily. She was asked by a reporter on how she feels about people using her name for racism, misogyny, etc. Here's Caitlin.
It's not something I can control, so, I don't put too much thought and time into thinking about things like that, and to be honest, I don't see a lot of it. Like I've said, basketball's my job. Everything on the outside, I can't control that, so I'm not going to spend time thinking about that. People can talk about what they want to talk about, create conversations about, whatever it is, but I think for myself, I'm just here to play basketball.
I understand your focus, but I'm just curious, though, are you bothered that folks would attempt to weaponize your name in whatever fight they're fighting?
No, I don't see it. That's not where my focus is. My focus is here and on basketball, and, that's where it needs to be, and that's where it has been, and I'm just trying to get better on a daily basis.
All right, that response prompted Carrington to post this on X. How one cannot be bothered by their name being used to justify racism, bigotry, misogyny, xenophobia, homophobia, and the intersectionalities of all of them is nuts. We see the expletive. We have a platform. We have a voice. They all hold weight. Silence is a luxury. Here's Clark on people using her name being weaponized for racism.
Caitlin, I know you mentioned that, you want to focus straight on basketball. Definitely respect that. But just to ask you directly, when people use your name for racism, misogyny, whatever, what is your response to that specifically?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing. I think, everybody in our world, deserves the same amount of respect. The women on our league deserve the same amount of respect. So people should not be using my name to push those agendas. It's disappointing. It's not acceptable. But yeah, this league is a league I grew up admiring and wanting to be a part of. Some of the women in this league were my biggest idols and role models growing up and helped me want to achieve this moment right here that I get to play in every single night. So just treating every single woman in this league with the same amount of respect, I think is just a basic human thing that everybody should do. Just be a kind person and treat them, how you would want to be treated. And I think it's, very simple.
Okay, so that was Caitlin's response after the Carrington tweet. The reporter had asked her about that. Dijonai, I want to come to you here and welcome into the show. Didn't get to say hi earlier. What's your reaction to everything that transpired yesterday?
Well, the demographics of the WNBA has made the league ripe for weaponization. It is true. And if you think about it, it's a league that is predominantly black. It is an inclusive league, a league that makes one of its core pillars advocacy. It's a women's league, so you throw gender in there. There have been so many preconceived notions about the WNBA that has, speaking truthfully, held the league back, even though we know what the league actually is. It's the best collective of women's basketball players in the world. And I do think that the narratives have been playing fast and loose with this influx of fans. And I do understand that Caitlin Clark, she can't control all of the conversation, but she does have power in directing the conversation. And I think that's why she had to sort of iterate the actuality, and that she stands against some of that negative talk. And I'm glad she said that, because it's important. I played in the WNBA for 10 years, and I always tell people when I think of the W, there are 3 core truths. 1, it's the best, most competitive women's basketball league in the world. 2, you think about the WNBA, I always tell people it's like that song, I'm every woman. I can't sing, okay? But you can find every woman in the WNBA. What I love about the W is that we may not all agree. We exist on a spectrum, but we create space for everyone to coexist. And third, the third pillar has emerged as of late based off of, I would even go back to 2020, the social justice advocacy. Most importantly, that third is the notion of advocacy, because we understand as a league that is of predominantly Black women, we have no choice but to speak on important issues, and we don't run from them. We are the ones that have these difficult conversations, because we realize that if you don't stand for something, everyone else will control the narrative for you. And you can fall for anything. I think that's more of a personal principle. And so I know it's a difficult position for Caitlin Clark to be thrust into the spotlight, where she's going up against the best of the best and having to deal with, I guess, the weight of the crown, right? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. And I think this is something that she is discovering. As much as you want to focus on basketball, a lot of the focus has not been that. And so asking where you stand on this, it's important to clarify, because you want to make sure you set the narrative for yourself.
Well, that's one way to look at it, and I think that's an accurate way to look at it, and a deep way to look at it, and I applaud Janae for saying what she said. I just think that when we use the word racism, let's understand something here. Carrington just bring up racism. She brought up bigotry. She brought up misogyny. She brought up, intersectionalities. She brought up all of these different things. And why is that important? Because the society that we live in, of course, xenophobia, homophobia, she brought all of that up. Why is it important to point that out? Because what has transpired, yes, Caitlin Clark is the name of the day to use, but there's a broader issue here that can't be escaped. And that is this. She is a white young lady, and she's been a magnet in a way that has benefited the league in ways that others have not, even though their efforts have been worthy and deserving of being as celebrated, if not even more celebrated. And it's a reminder that no matter how far we believe that we have advanced as a society, there's still such a long way to go, because in the end, if you're white, you're bright, you're right, and as a result, the shine comes your way in the eyes of a lot of people in America. Let's transition. Very uncomfortable to touch on, but just factually correct. You have somebody that's a presidential candidate. What is his claim to fame? Make America great again. What have people interpreted that to mean? Make America white again. These are the things that critics have said. He has his supporters spanning the tens of millions. There are others on the other side having tens of millions of the supporters on their side. What has that led to? A divide. It is not a divide that is created. It is a divide that's illuminated, because it's highlighting and showing that it's been in existence all along. It hasn't gone anywhere. As we travel for the NBA Finals, and Janae is here with yours truly, and Kendrick Perkins and Brian Windows and stuff like that. Yeah, in the city of Dallas, we're chilling, this metropolis, and, we're having a good time. Go to some of the outskirts of Texas. Go to some of the outskirts of Florida. Go to some of the outskirts of various places throughout this country, and you see places that ain't trying to hear all of that. it was the way that it was, and we ain't trying to change it for anybody. We holding on to this, whatever that it may be. And as a result of that, we find ourselves on too many occasions witnessing the conflict that we thought had subsided, that we thought had evaporated before our very eyes. And what we've learned is it has not. It has not. So when Carrington spoke up, I got where she was coming from. I certainly don't hold Caitlin Clark accountable for that. But what Caitlin Clark has to understand is that it's not really you personally. It's you, the figure. It's you, the prop per se, that is being utilized to address a bigger point. If we could do it, everybody has done it. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others were trying to make things happen in the 50s, in the 60s. Rosa Parks refusing to give us a seat up on a bus. Everybody knows that was something that was orchestrated because a bigger issue needed to be addressed, and they had to find the right person to address it. And throughout history, we've seen a plethora of things transpire and take place where an individual had the light shined on them, and it was orchestrated and plotted and planned because a bigger message and a bigger issue needed to be addressed, but the right person needed to come along to give us the license to address it. And it might not have been through their own volition, but it happens. Caitlin Clark is a wonderful basketball player who I think is going to be a star in this league. And she is box office, and she does generate ratings, and all of those things are true. But the fact that she is a young white lady and the world has gravitated to her the way that they have, in a way they have done for no one else in the 28-year history of the WNBA, and Lord knows how long Team USA has been into existence, it's just further evidence of the times that we're living in, but most importantly, the times we've been living in, and the progress that purportedly has been made, although it has existed to some degree, doesn't negate the fact that we can't gloss over the reality of what we're exposed to every single day. That is what Janae has spoken about. That is what Carrington was alluding to. That is what a plethora of people within the WNBA and within the world is alluding to today. Yo, y'all, there's still a lot of work to be done because things haven't changed nearly as much as we would like to believe, period.
And Stephen A., I think you make a really good point. And I want to actually turn the timeline a little bit further back because as someone who was playing in the WNBA last year, as someone who has covered women's basketball and played it like for 20 years, if you asked me 2 years ago or even a couple months ago, who is the face of the WNBA? I would tell you it's A'ja Wilson. She is currently the back-to-back champion. She is currently right now playing like an MVP. Have you seen the history she's made, breaking a streak by Tina Charles, most 25-point games in a row? She is the most dominant player in the WNBA right now. But we are experiencing a shift where, for better or worse, she is not necessarily the face of the league. The face of the league is now Caitlin Clark. And a lot of people, I'm here in Dallas, and it's been a really beautiful experience for me because I worked the NBA Finals 2 days ago, and I'm going to work the NBA Finals today. And in between, I was able to catch my sister's game. She played against the Dallas Wings. She plays for the Seattle Storm. They got the dub. She had 17 points, right? But when I think about this ecosystem in which we're existing, it made me think. I spoke to so many WNBA fans, and they're like, hey, how is it like? The conversations are not necessarily